The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is January 27th, 2021. This is episode 292, and today, the devil's in the Davos. And I'm not an elite lizard person ruling the world from my ivory tower, but I am your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events as the GameStop stock soars with Basil's pocket, and Davos becomes more totalitarian. The devil horns are growing.
Yes, a lot of things going on today, Gonz. A lot of things. And one thing took us all by surprise, which was the GameStop. Why do I keep saying that? GameStop stock explosion, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But before we do that, why don't we get the Flippy update out of the way?
Let's do it.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, before we get into the meat, let's first take a look at our buddy Flippy. If you're new to the show, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking over the world, taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to talk about how robotics and AI are taking over the world, and there's nothing we can do about it. I'm going to be bringing this Flippy update from digitaltrends.com. So trendy. The headline reads, Cyborg Venus flytraps are here. Don't worry, they're not hostile. Yet. Just when you think you've seen it all, a university in Singapore comes along and creates a half-robot, half-plant Venus flytrap cyborg. And that's what researchers at Nanyang Technological University recently built, and while it's unnerving and impressive in equal measure, it could also turn out to be surprisingly useful. A Venus flytrap is pretty cool in its own right, a rare example of a carnivorous plant that gains part of its nutrients from munching on insects and spiders. The Venus flytrap resembles a set of jaws that close over prey when tiny tripwire-style stiff hairs on its leaves are triggered. The tasty morsel is trapped inside by the plant's interlocking teeth before the Venus flytrap sets about digesting its soon-to-be meal with stomach-style juices. The cyborg Venus flytrap is that, basically, but augmented with electrodes stuck to the leaves so as to render it controllable via smartphone. Quote, plants for the first time can now be on-demand operated to do instant tasks. Xiaodong Chen, President's Chair Professor in Materials Science and Engineering at Nanyang Technological University, told Digital Trends. When Chen noted that the researchers used a frequency-dependent modulation method to stimulate the flytrap with a high level of accuracy and speed. As can be seen from the above video, it works surprisingly well. Feed me, Seymour. But the goal isn't to create an army of Internet of Things carnivorous roboplants, like a little shop of horrors. Very suspicious how they specifically had to tell us they didn't want to create an army of carnivorous roboplants, but okay, we'll take them at their word. Instead, it's a piece of fundamental research that could be used to create more sensitive robo-grippers, able to pick up fragile objects that might be harmed by rigid traditional grippers. In demonstrations, the flytrap was attached to a robot arm and used to hold a piece of wire 1 millimeter in diameter. So Flippy is further venturing into the world of biological matter, Gonz. Do you have thoughts about this?
Other than the obvious that when they start shooting fireballs, then we know that Mario was a blueprint for reality, and we're going to have to be dodging these cyborg Venus flytraps. as we try to get to the goal line.
It's true. As we've been saying since the start, Gons, Mario, the Super Mario Brothers and related properties are simply predictive programming. Showing us what the future technocracy will look like.
And transhumanism, with turning into a raccoon tail flying thing and all kinds of stuff, eating mushrooms, and there's a lot there.
Get ready for the new world order, folks.
A new Mario.
Well, there you go.
Order.
That's just about it. But it was fun seeing that, we've talked about Flippy being connected to humans, Flippy being making dogs out of 4 Flippies, and now plants are no longer safe from the technocratic future.
And the one plant that they use is the one that happens to have their own, mechanism to chomp. I just think they don't need this robot arm to, anyway. It just makes
it's a plant gripper already, but they must.
Yeah, they have to.
They're not happy just leaving this plant to live its life eating little flies. They must control it.
Yeah, as
humans often try to do.
Yeah. Well, we are living in the new world order.
Yeah. Oh, it's the new world order. It's here. Reset this.
Yeah. Right. So, if you guys have noticed out there, this week has been Davos 2021, the big meeting of the great minds of our world, Basil, trying to make it even better.
Yes, it's when all the elite lizard people can get together and talk about the best ways to just care for their wonderful human pets.
Yes, and the first thing I wanted to do was break down this video that was published by the World Economic Forum channel. I'm happy to report that as of this recording, this video has 731 thumbs up and nearly 10,000 thumbs down.
Wow. That's a lot of thumbs down. And we've seen this so many times recently with the inauguration and everything like that. The internet is turning against the elites.
The people don't like what the elites are doing openly. And I feel
that's sort of the theme of today's show.
Yeah. And that makes me feel good about not just our work, obviously, but the work of so many people over the years of exposing the New World Order and trying to bring some levity to the situation and some logic, objectivity. And, it almost makes sense why there's this big push, almost a psyop, I would say, COINTELPRO style psyop to really highlight the extreme fringes of those who would consider the New World Order as, just conspiracy theory, crazy, wild, white supremacist, nationalist, Christian, they just label stuff. But they highlight the most egregious or the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just fringe, but I don't know. What's the word? Come on, come to my brain. The most extravagant or outlandish of theories to try to tear it down. And that's been something we've talked about before. It's almost like they build the straw man up. Look at this crazy conspiracy theory. And then look at all these crazy people that follow it. But I'm glad to see that a lot of people are recognizing that this is just complete nonsense. But I wanted to play the video and then break down some things here. This is a 4-minute promo video. I mean, it is hip, Basil. It is hip. It is. It speaks to the young people. They probably overpaid some editing team to really put it together and grab their attention and make it cool. And but it starts off with the virus and eye symbolism. So look out for that. So we'll start it here.
The pandemic has radically changed the world as we know it. And the actions we take today as we work to recover will define our generation.
Now is the time to think what history would say about this crisis.
Okay. 2020 has been challenging on a lot of levels.
Hold on there before we move on here. So right from the get-go, they talk about how 2020 the pandemic being a great opportunity, and this is the moment where history will be written, how we respond to the pandemic. And it just plays right into the idea that the whole pandemic was planned. It was a plandemic. It was just like they needed this chaos, this catastrophe in order to bring about change. And it just becomes more obvious when you continue to watch this video. They tie in climate change into the coronavirus, which is, if you're not paying attention, it's just, it's like, oh my gosh, the world is going to fall apart. But yeah, let's keep going here.
It's the time to think what history would say about this crisis.
2020 has been challenging on a lot of levels, as economic, environmental, and societal frailties have been laid bare. But it's also proved that when we need to, we can act rapidly and restructure our lives.
The recovery from the pandemic is an opportunity. We can see rays of hope in the form of a vaccine, but there is no vaccine for the planet. Nature needs a bailout.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Nature needs a bailout.
Nature needs a bailout. That's Antonio Guterres,
bailout.
UN Secretary General. Nature doesn't have a vaccine, and I would argue, Jesus Christ is the actual vaccine for nature. If you really want to bring it, you use that analogy of what a vaccine is supposed to be. But nature needs a bailout. I mean, come on. What kind of BS is that? I mean, what are you talking about?
Well, that's secret code for those who have enough capital to have an investment in green technologies can get a bailout, right? Because we can give money. You can't give money straight to trees, but you can give it to companies who can profit from
trees.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
By the way, the first woman that they quoted there was the head of the IMF. And this quote about nature doesn't have a vaccine, nature needs a bailout, is the UN Secretary General. And if you're looking at the screen, for those of you watching, again, very cool, some cool editing going on.
Lots of graphics.
Some graphics.
Somebody spent many days on After Effects putting this together.
Yeah, the sky reads vaccine over and over, like a wallpaper of vaccine. It's just like really overdone. But okay, nature needs a bailout, which speaks to the naturalism and materialism of their worldview here. At the very least, right? We know it's much worse, but the surface level stuff is naturalism, materialism. And let's continue on here.
For the planet. Nature needs a bailout.
You don't want to go back to the status quo that you had before simply because it was the status quo that got us here.
With everything falling apart, we can reshape the world in ways we couldn't before. Ways that better address so many of the challenges we face. And that's why so many are calling for a great reset.
Okay, the Great Reset.
So many of us calling. So many. You mean the lizard
people?
Talking about so many of the lizard people are calling for a great reset.
Now, watch how because whoever made this must have been made in the last couple weeks, because they address the fact that people are not down with the Great Reset. Mm-hmm. Listen to what they say very carefully with the Great Reset here.
For a great reset. A great reset? That sounds more like buzzword bingo masking some nefarious plan for world domination.
It does!
This kind of slogan hasn't gone down well.
This kind of slogan hasn't gone down well. No kidding.
It's so funny because they're admitting to the Great Reset where over and over and over in mainstream media, they call the Great Reset a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And then coming from Davos, they're saying, the Great Reset, it is real.
Sounds like totalitarian takeover, but
we understand it sounds like the lizard people taking over and exacting their will over the poor populations. We admit that was not a great thing to call it. The truth comes out. The truth.
I know.
They're like, whoopsies. We thought the slaves would like the reset button.
Yeah, well, but it keeps getting better here.
That sounds more like buzzword bingo masking some nefarious plan for world domination. Hands up.
Yeah.
This kind of slogan hasn't gone down well. But all we really want to say is that we all have an opportunity to build a better world.
By the way, did you notice that they use the symbolism from the movie They Live?
Yes, the obey.
The obey
the
and the sunglasses.
Obey.
Yep. They,
well, that's the interesting thing about this, because of course the first instinct was for Klaus to come out and make a video saying all this stuff. Yeah. But they've realized that Klaus looks like what you imagine Xenu from the,
he looks like
Scientology,
the lizard people. Yeah. God man.
Right. He wears these space suits. He looks like the bad guy from Battlefield Earth. And
his accent doesn't help.
Yes. Right.
The sinister
accent. Yeah. So basically they're taking all that and they said, okay, we can't show Klaus. Klaus, we can't.
Well, I think they do a little later. There's a snippet of Klaus. You can't leave him out, but.
So I say all this to say that they are using the memes of what they would call conspiracy theorists, what we would call reality analysts, using the memes, the thought processes, the symbology, and the references of the skeptics like us to turn it around. And so that's what you're seeing here. And I imagine this is going to be very effective for a lot of people, unfortunately.
You think so? It's not working out too much if you look at the like-dislike ratio. It's not really, a lot of people are like, yeah, okay. No.
That is pretty funny. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see.
Okay, so
that is quite the ratio.
Yeah, it is. And so
less than 1,000 likes and over, what is that, 9.7?
Yeah, approaching 10,000 dislikes or thumbs down.
Yeah, this is not going the way they hope. Okay, let's keep watching it.
So yeah, the Great Reset billboard, They Live sunglasses that says obey. And then we'll continue on
it's
here.
Perfect.
It is.
But all we really want to say is that we all have an opportunity to build a better world.
Do we all?
And it's not surprising that people who've been disenfranchised by a broken system and pushed even further by the pandemic will suspect global leaders of conspiracy. But the world's not that simple.
Really?
Well, I don't think what she just explained was simple either. She's like, this super complicated network of conspiracy and evil lizard people is not that simple. That's
yeah, it's not a very good answer or response to the criticism that, hey, maybe the global elite are trying to conspire to rule over us for the event Davos 2021. It's called Davos Agenda 2021, where the elite get together and plan the future for mankind. I mean,
it's like they don't really understand, again, using the symbolism, the language of people who are skeptical of their plan. They're like, oh, all these skeptics love the term Agenda 2021, or they love that movie. They Live. Well, let's just use all their own symbols and language, and that'll help them.
I could picture Klaus. What are they Googling? Or agenda? Okay.
Nancy, how do I open my email again?
All right, so it's not that simple. Then you're going to see all the different movements.
Where is my good friend Clippy to help me out?
All right, so you're going to see all the different movements, including BLM. So look out for that for those watching.
Differing priorities, values, and ideas. That's part of why solutions are so hard to come by.
Okay, so again, they're showing all the chaos in the streets and people waving BLM flags and all this, which is really ironic because a lot of those movements were funded by the elite. It's like
they had a lot to do with it. And again, that's not conspiracy theory. No. That's just the truth.
And they're just trying to make it seem like the people with different values and ideas and belief systems, they're all just naturally grassroots coming up with these movements, but we know that's not the case here.
And why we all need to be involved in the decision making. Because whether it's politicians, CEOs, academics, activists, or you, we're all about getting people together.
Okay, hold on. That was a great list of elites.
Yeah.
And elite funded people, like whether it's CEOs or presidents or, all these
or you
all of these, elite positions that you don't hold. Activists who, in many cases have been shown to be funded by these big organizations, or you. It's just such a weird attempt at trying to include the regular person in this scheme.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous here.
Because whether it's politicians, CEOs, academics, activists, or you, we're all about getting people together. Even those you may not like, to sit down at the table and develop solutions that work for all of us. But
we need enormous trust between the private sector and the public sector for this to actually work. That trust is hard to come by.
Okay, so he's talking about the
just trust us. You just have to trust the lizard people.
This is the CEO of MasterCard coming out and saying that there's no trust between the public and the private sectors.
Wow, showing just a glimmer of self
awareness.
Yeah, awareness. Thank you.
But the thing that's interesting about that is all the buzzwords that we've called out over the years with how this New World Order system works. And we've talked about it before many times, the public-private partnership, the PPP, which on its face, you're thinking, wait a minute, how is something public and private? How do you make a partnership and make it work? Well, that's really how a lot of the infiltration of the United States and the Constitution and all that took place in the last 20, 30 years.
And keep in mind, when they say public and private, what they're referring to is corporations and government.
Right.
Public and private is this weird little, it's not weird. It's not a secret term.
No.
That's what those terms mean. Public being the government. That's their nice word they like to make so we all think we're part of the solution. And private being corporations. And that's what this stakeholder capitalism is about. It's about corporations and the government teaming up to fix the
greater good.
For the greater good. This sounds so awesome. Let's keep going.
It's time for people to work together, listen to each other, and build this trust so we can move towards a better world. And we really need one. Because while the pandemic affects us all, it's clear it affects some more than others.
The first people who are
Thanks to
hit
you.
are the people at the front, those who are vulnerable. It is those on the front line who take it first, and that is simply unacceptable.
See, at the start of 2020, 1% of the world's population owned 44% of the wealth. And since the start of the pandemic, billionaires have increased theirs by more than 25%, whilst 150 million people fell back into extreme poverty. And with climate change set to dwarf the damage caused by the pandemic...
Okay, wait. So let's go over that real quick, because that, I think, was part of the agenda for this whole deal. With because I've seen a lot of people in the truther side of the aisle, if you will, talk about, the rich got richer during the pandemic, and this is why everything's broken, and blah, blah, blah. And yes, but I think that was the plan. I think that was part of the Hegelian dialectic of creating a problem and exacerbating the problem to the point where, the 1% gains more, 25% more, the 44%. So what's that? I'm doing some quick math here. 69. Ooh, 69. 69% of the world's wealth is owned by the top 1%, and then the 150 million go into poverty. Yeah, perfect.
And again, just to analyze what they're saying, again, they just said we need the public and private partnership, which is corporations and government. And then they say the billionaires got richer. Yeah, That's the private part of this public-private partnership you're talking about. It's not the people who got poorer who are this private half of the thing. So they're going back and forth and saying, oh, we need the billionaires to be good people and get all wrapped up in the government. Oh, but these billionaires made so much money and you didn't. So we should let the billionaires run the government? What are you saying?
No,
and it was the
saying,
government that shut down small businesses that made the billionaires richer. I mean, the dialectic is, and again, with the flashy graphics and the British accent and the cool music, you don't really listen or think about the words that they're saying.
Yeah.
You just get they're using lots of bright colors, like, oh my gosh, they're going to fix the world.
Yeah, well, they're going to get to the punchline here, which is that capitalism is dead. And we'll talk about that in a second. But there's a part here where they go into, they're talking about the pandemic and how it caused all this economic inequality. And then they mention climate change. And I'm having a very hard time understanding what the word she says there. She says climate change is set to blank the pandemic. I don't know what she said. You can maybe listen, Basil, or maybe people in the chat, because I listened to this thing like 4 or 5 times and I'm like, the climate change is set to what now? I don't understand that word. Okay, here we go.
Set to dwarf the damage caused by the pandemic.
Here we go.
Set to dwarf the damage. 150 million people fell back into extreme poverty. And with climate change set to dwarf the damage caused by the pandemic.
I think it's dwarf.
Dwarf?
Dwarf.
Okay.
Yeah. So climate change is going to be way worse than the pandemic.
Set to dwarf the damage of the pandemic. Yeah. All right, that makes sense. I was like, what is dwarf? What is twar? What is she saying? Okay. British accent over my head.
The message from 2020 should be abundantly clear.
Capitalism, as we know it, is dead.
Oh,
this
please.
obsession that we have had with maximizing profits for shareholders alone has led to incredible inequality and a planetary emergency.
They have all this fiery forests and storms and houses being blown by hurricanes. Yeah. It's just like, wow.
Graveyard.
Man. Yeah. Jeez. So yeah, capitalism is dead. That's the big punchline, what they want to get to here.
But no one can do this alone, and top-down approaches won't get us anywhere, because everything we've learned in our work has shown us that diverse voices lead to better results.
Do they?
I love this. Hold on. That part right there, top-down solutions don't work.
Yeah.
What they're saying is, what they're trying to say is, so you have to be part of the solution. Mm-hmm. But what they're also saying is, oh no, we've realized that we can't control you with our lockdown mind control, and you don't just do what we say. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
We realize that we at the top cannot control the population. We need you to control yourselves.
Right. Which is, how are you going to do that? You do as we say.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time to do what you're told.
Get it?
I thought you started playing the video again. Like, wow, they're really throwing it in our face.
Going all in with the Fauci clip. Okay, so here we go.
Top-down approaches won't get us anywhere, because everything we've learned in our work has shown us that diverse voices lead to better results. And
what does that have to do with the first thing?
I don't know, but diverse voices.
Yeah, what does that have to do with anything?
Everything they've looked at, their research. And it's always very nebulous what this research is. Who's the one saying it? The elite? What are they saying? What do they mean we? Anyway, go on.
Our work has shown us that diverse voices lead to better results. And it's for these reasons that the forum talks about something called stakeholder capitalism, which would shift businesses away from just profit. Because
if we want to change where the focus of our recovery will go, then we need a new dashboard for the new economy. And that needs to encompass people, planet, prosperity, and institutions.
Giving people a real stake in the economy and putting well-being before growth. And that's all about getting the right people in the right place at the right time.
We must rebuild our relationship with nature for the survival of the peoples and our planet.
We have a window of time which is closing, and we need everybody who cares to get together and find solutions now.
It's the people who have great ideas and who share them with others. They're the ones who are shaping the future. So if you want to be a part of the change, then tune in, turn on, and get involved. Follow the Davos agenda, right here, online, on YouTube.
Good luck.
On YouTube.
All the masked people,
that.
too. Just
get involved on YouTube.
Where we silence people that don't agree with our agenda.
Yeah, right. Wow.
So that's the 4-minute promo video, Davos agenda, which did not go well with the public there, at least. I don't know. Maybe there's some. Did they shut off the comments? Ooh, they didn't. Wow.
I love this. This is so great. And this, oh man, I mean, we already talked about it, but this fits right in with people are not buying it. People are starting to realize that they can take some control.
Yeah. I mean,
and you know what's fun about the likes and dislikes? And this is not necessarily some big secret insight, but somebody who might not have the background with this information that our listeners might have, they'll go to the video. Oh, what's this? It's got a lot of views. Okay, let's say, whoa, 10,000 dislikes to under 1,000 likes. Well, I know how I need to feel about this now. To a degree, a normie who's sort of like programmed to accept, whatever, the over-socialized.
Sure.
Those who get their worldview and their thoughts just from the socialization around them. This is good news. This is an interesting way to fight back that may actually help somebody wake up. Who knows?
Well, the other angle to this is going to, much like this promo video, it's only going to shape their messaging more. It's just they're just going to get better at trying to convince all of us, which I don't know. Maybe it's not working because it's not working. So I don't know.
I think there is some hope. I think there is some hope. There tends to be, especially in our types of circles, there tends to be this sort of overarching fatalism
there
with
is.
Everything.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
And I don't, and we're guilty of that sometimes.
It's all going to end. The end of the world is tomorrow. That
everything is bad. Everything is as planned. Yeah. But there are, I struggle myself, and I think we all need to keep in mind that it's not everything is fatalistic in every moment. I think there is some glimmer of hope with the reactions to some of these things.
Yeah, and the top comment here. The same people that caused the crisis now want to bully around and tax us for cleaning it up. Oy vey. And I'm seeing that Fed Chair Jerome Powell is doing a live thing, but we'll skip that. We'll save that for later. See what he says there. So that video obviously didn't play well, but maybe Greta Thunberg will speak more. And according to this video here, Greta Thunberg's message to the Davos agenda. 655 likes, 1.3K dislikes. Not going well for Greta either. But there's a couple clips I wanted to play from the Greta video. Here's the first one here.
I understand that the world is complex and that change doesn't happen overnight. But you've now had more than 3 decades of blah, blah, blah. How many more do you need? Because when it comes to facing the climate emergency, the world is still in a state of complete denial.
So this is really interesting. I find it fascinating that they always put Greta in this like middle ground, common man chair where it's like she's criticizing the elite for not doing anything. You've had 3 decades of blah, 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 and still nothing has been done. Which is kind of, I don't know.
Which is an agreeable position.
It's an agreeable position, but the fact that...
On so many levels.
It is, but the fact that, I mean, that depends on if you agree with the problem. You know what I mean? It's almost like putting her out there like this is...
I just mean the position because, I think everybody should be looking at the elites and being like, You don't want to fix this. We all know you don't. Now, I wouldn't probably get all hyped up about necessarily her same cause necessarily. I think, but we can all agree that the elites are not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
This is like the greatest example of controlled opposition.
Yes.
I mean, she's on the Davos channel. They've groomed her to be this great voice of the people, the young people, and all that. But she's complicit with all of them. It's a very in-your-face psyop, if you really want to break it down. But there's this other part here where she talks about hope. Thought this was interesting and important to point out, especially as Christians.
We can have as many meetings and summits as we want, but unless we treat the climate and ecological emergency like an emergency, no sufficient changes will be achieved. What we need to begin with is to implement annual binding carbon budgets based on the current best available science. And right now, more than ever, we are desperate for hope. But what is hope? For me, hope is not more empty assurances that everything will be all right.
Real quick.
Yep.
So she mentioned the carbon budgets thing, and we've talked about this before, but just as a refresher, that's her solution is carbon budgets. Yeah. Now, for those who need a refresher, carbon budgets are that is the concept, the system where each, again, stakeholder corporation. Now, there are theories that this can trickle all the way down to the individual citizen, but the closest thing to becoming a reality and what would happen first is the carbon budgets for corporations, where corporations would get a certain amount of carbon that they're allowed to produce a year, and carbon being another word for pollution. And what we're really talking, and within this carbon budget, you're able to buy and sell and trade this carbon budget. So, one factory makes 100 carbon. I'm just making these numbers up. 100 carbon. Another factory, if everybody has a budget of 100 carbon, one factory maybe use 50 of it. Another factory, in order to make what they want to make, they need 150. But they don't have the budget to make it, so they can purchase that carbon budget from a smaller factory or a factory that produces less carbon. And so what you're really talking about here is the creation of a currency, a carbon currency that is this in an ecosystem, an economy, a carbon economy only accessible by corporations and quote unquote these stakeholders. And so, we're in this situation where the economy is so built on debt and fake money and all the financial tomfoolery that runs the global economy. This introduction of a carbon currency is kind of like, when the introduction of cryptocurrency came around, where it's like, well, the regular system isn't working, so we're just, we'll make this other system, and then we can, kind of operate on this parallel financial universe. And that's part of the Great Reset thing, where you fork the economy into this carbon economy, and now suddenly you'll have this whole network of stakeholders, corporations, manufacturers, and things like that, trading this carbon budget, which I don't know exactly what kind of effect that will have, but it will allow more financial tomfoolery, but not with dollars or not with rubles or whatever, but with this global currency of the carbon budget or carbon allowance. It's the closest thing to a global currency at the stakeholder level that we currently have. Of course, there's lots of theories for global currency in regards to cryptocurrency and stuff like that. But this is a very real version of a global currency that regular citizens would have no access to. Just a very interesting push she's making for that.
I don't know if...
And it's supposed to save the world.
Right.
It's supposed to save the environment.
I don't know that normal people wouldn't have access to it And I only say that because, do you remember I told you that I got kicked off of the platform Uphold, which is holding some of my funds in crypto, and they're not responding to any of my things there.
Yeah.
Well, this could be why. They never gave me a reason why they kicked me off the thing, but one of them is because it might be because I criticized this thing here called the Universal Carbon Token. This is the UPCO2, and it says, what is the Universal Carbon Token? It is the world's first tradable carbon token on the public blockchain. When you buy UPCO2, you make the world a cleaner place by supporting the sustainable preservation of the world's rainforests. And it goes on here. And if you go to their website, it's pretty wild because it has all the stuff, the going green and blah, 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 tokenization.
I'm aware of this cryptocurrency. I think it's mainly just not a scam, but with a lot of these cryptocurrencies, you just build a story around it. You build a system, and you want people to feel good about buying your token,
right?
And but the concept stands.
Sure,
that's kind of the concept. Now, I think this economy will mainly be accessible to stakeholders, corporations, and I think eventually it will go down to citizens. I think we're another decade out from that. But your point stands. I think eventually, all of us will have our carbon budget, and we can't go over that. And if we go over it, we get taxed, because if we get taxed, we can save the world.
Right.
And in fact, this emission payment, I'm realizing now, being reminded by Interstellar Marbles on Twitch, they say I have to pay emissions where I live. We all do in different ways. But there are places around the world. I know, what is it? Some Scandinavian countries. I think it's like the Netherlands or something. Don't quote me on that. But you do actually have sort of a carbon budget. I don't think it's very consequential now, but I think there is sort of taxes and things like that attached to it. So anyways, there you go. So that's her big plan for saving the world.
Yeah. And just to mention, with the UPCO2 coin, which is created by I think it's like the Universal Alliance, some kind of alliance thing. And they talk about on this page here how they need to, they're a better token for the world because they criticize the top 5 cryptocurrencies because they take up so much energy. And if you, this is just timing, but all the main assets in crypto, the top assets, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and a few others that are listed here, they're all down today, but Universal Carbon Token up 2.4%.
Oh, wow. It's all because of Greta.
Greta's message.
Greta's a whale.
She
can
whale.
move it.
She's a UPCO2 whale. She's going to short it. Okay, so so the point I wanted to highlight what she says about hope here, and again how it relates or contradicts biblical hope. Let me go back here.
For me, hope is not more empty assurances that everything will be all right, that things are being taken care of, and that we don't need to worry. For me, hope is the feeling that keeps you going, even though all odds may be against you. For me, hope comes from action, not just words. And for me, hope is telling it like it is, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable that may be.
All right, so there's her thing of her whole hope message there, which I'm sure she wrote on her own. And I want to compare that to...
Yeah, I was going to say that is some very... somebody did a great job of writing that down for her.
Yeah, and I want to real briefly mention...
Or maybe it was her. Who knows?
Maybe it was. She's got enough stuff pumped in her head. Romans 8, where, interestingly enough, it talks about creation and how creation itself is suffering. Creation was subjected to futility, not by its own will, but because of the one who subjected it in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to decay and brought into the glorious freedom of the children of God. And it talks about the redemption of our bodies, but then in verse 24, for in this hope we were saved, but hope that is seen is no hope at all. Who hopes for what he can already see? But if we hope for what we do not see yet, we wait for it patiently. And it's talking about the return of Christ and the full restoration of creation through that. And so I thought it was fascinating that even though Greta is trying to push this hope message, hope is action. In reality, it's kind of like, from the biblical perspective anyway, it's kind of like, no, you hope is truly the true release from bondage, from creation. Because ultimately, that's kind of what her message is, right? We want to save the world. We want to free the world from pain and suffering and all that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, that's like the whole biblical message, part of it anyway. And it comes from hope unseen, because obviously Christ isn't back yet. But I don't know. I just thought there was an interesting contrast there where.
Well, she's been riding that hope train for a while. That's sort of her
her finale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
by the way, I do want to mention there's no need for the personal attacks on Greta. I mean, I understand. Look, I'm not trying to defend Greta, but every time we do bring Greta up, there's like a lot of weird personal attacks on her that really have nothing to do with the important stuff. And I think it's kind of a distraction.
You're biting
based on her looks and the way she talks and the width between her eyeballs and the things like that. It's just don't worry about it. Don't get distracted. It's about her message that needs to be analyzed. Nothing really good comes from, I don't know, personally attacking anybody except for Klaus Schwab, our evil alien lizard person leader.
You can make fun of Klaus.
Klaus and Bezos.
You can make fun of Klaus, but not old Greta. I do have an outline that I think we'll dig into maybe more next episode. We'll have to see. But there's some notes from producer Audrey. She's been around with our Canary Cry world for a long time. And she's been keeping an eye on the whole Davos situation. And some of the things she pointed out, net zero cities, zero carbon. We need to think, these are quotes, I think, from her notes here. We need to think in terms of neighborhoods instead of communities. The fourth industrial revolution in AI. The fourth industrial revolution will run on AI. The Internet of Things will make everything digital and will be used to connect citizens and cities together. Borg hive mind. With blockchain, we have traceable digital connection that we can link our health, education, workforce, consumerism, industrial waste, CO2 emissions, energy, etc. for global transparency to help combat future crisis and climate change and to achieve the 2030 goals, as well as other goals like the Green New Deal. So that's part of the whole agenda here. Then she mentioned the stakeholders capitalism, which obviously that's a big thing that we've been pointing out for a while. I don't know if we were the first ones to really kind of nail that one down, because I know people are talking about the Great Reset and Build Back Better, and that's been around for a while. But I mean, I don't think we were the first, but we certainly, I think we're not super early, but I think in the last like 2 or 3 months, we were like, yeah, stakeholders capitalism. Come on, this is ridiculous. We broke it down,
and it's not even a secret. I mean, it took very little analysis. They said on their own website, stakeholders are corporations.
And this is what Klaus said. This is paraphrased. We need to move to large-scale capitalism. COVID is showing that people are expecting more from government and corporations. Are they? Are they, Klaus? Are they really?
Yeah.
Not just.
I mean, we couldn't expect any less. I'll give that to them.
Not just material, but services like cleaning up the environment, for example. Okay. So, and according to Carl Teichert, our friend Carl, he said this about stakeholders capitalism. He said, stakeholder capitalism is the embracing of social indicators and targets within a company's economic ecosystem, and more broadly, how corporations and national governments can work together to engage social behaviors within a changing economic model. That's very succinctly put. They're really the behavioral social behavioral change that they're desiring through the changing economic model. I think that's really on point. Any thoughts on that? On Carl's little definition there?
Sorry, I got distracted by the chat.
Okay.
Cool Runnings Mon says, "What is this? A great reset for ants?" A great Zoolander reference there. Read it again.
Okay, so this is Carl Teichert, our friend. He said, stakeholder capitalism is the embracing of social indicators and targets within a company's economic ecosystem, and more broadly, how corporations and national governments can work together to engage social behaviors within a changing economic model.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah, well put. That breaks it down. Yeah, and it's so funny because nobody's buying it. I'm just, it's just, I've yet to see anybody buy it.
Nobody buys it, but you know what's going to happen? Because
Not
corporations,
that there's anything we can do about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because corporations and governments basically rule our lives when it comes to jobs and stuff, they're gonna lay out this dashboard that they were talking about. We need a new dashboard, the metrics for all this stuff, right? And if you don't comply, you're not going to have a job. You're not going to make money. You're not going to be able to participate in this new stakeholder economy. That's what's going to happen.
Things like the social credit score and different technologies that we've been exploring for a few years now will be all built into that.
Yeah. And this is all part of BLM. And the reason why BLM is part of this is because they're going to have racial standards. We'll get into that in a moment here as part of this whole thing of diversity and all that.
Yeah. Well, whether it's BLM or not, certainly critical race theory as an ideology
BLM being
will be integrated. Yeah.
Well, BLM being sort of the front runner of this whole thing. I think just part of it.
I'm starting to not give so much credence to organizations as much as ideologies.
Well, that's really what I'm getting at.
Yes, I think we're talking about
about the same thing. And also, what happened to the billions that BLM got? They got billions of dollars from corporations. Where
they bought a bunch of buses
and some paint to paint that big thing on the street.
Yeah, there's yellow paint and buses. Well, there's been some interesting financial breakdowns from, of course, we had all these corporations bragging about how much money they gave to Black Lives Matter. And certainly there's some sort of organizing cost to the boots on the ground leaders of these things. I mean, there's reports of, Black Lives Matters organizers, they get their $5,000 a month or whatever it was to organize these things, but that's chump change compared to the money that they got. Yeah, they got at least a bill, and that is a great question. They must have some big plans or some big buses.
Yeah, we'll see. But another thing Klaus said, a couple more things, and we'll get into China. Klaus said, if not everyone is vaccinated, then no one is safe. Klaus, no one is safe without the vaccine.
Nobody buys it, man. I was even just real quick, and we'll talk about vaccine stuff later in the show. But even the liberals, even the good registered Democrats in my life, they're telling me that the vaccine does not stop you from spreading it. And how whack is that? And
how
what's
whack
the point?
Is that? Is that what
and
they say?
Why do I need it to travel if I still am able to spread it, even if I have less of a chance of getting it? I don't know, man. I'm really, maybe it's today. Maybe it's because I had a good workout this morning. Maybe it's because I took my vitamins, but I'm feeling pretty good about the way things are moving right now. As far as maybe it's the game stonk.
Yeah, how's it doing? Let me take a peek there.
We're after hours now, so it's not much is happening. It's down a couple percent.
I'm used to the 24/7 crypto markets.
I know your cryptocurrency 24/7. But to finish this out, what's the word? I'm encouraged by the way I've been seeing the masses move lately. And the responses to the Great Reset video, amongst other things, really have me... I'm trying to avoid saying hopeful because I don't want to trigger the Greta haters. But anyways, I'm feeling good. Okay, you want to talk about China?
I do. So leading into China, Klaus, more Klaus quotes, China's way forward will shape our global future.
Oh, thank you, China.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I got this article from thehindu.com. And if you're ever looking for... The good thing about the Hindu, it's an Indian outlet, I believe. And if you're ever looking for somebody to agree with your anti-China ideas, the Indians are the place to go. This headline is, at Davos Forum, Xi warns world leaders against new Cold War. Oh, Xi, the president of China, is warning against a Cold War. It reads like this. Chinese President Xi Jinping warned global leaders at an all-virtual World Economic Forum at Davos on Monday against starting a new Cold War and urged global unity in the face of the coronavirus pandemic. Having largely curbed the spread of the pandemic within its borders, Mr. Xi wants to position China as a key player in a new multilateral world order as the U.S. remains crippled by the pandemic. So we have sort of a power play at Davos here for China to step up to the world stage as the U.S. remains crippled by the pandemic. Quote, to build small cliques or start a new Cold War to reject, threaten, or intimidate others will only push the world into division, said Xi Jinping, adding that confrontation will lead to a dead end.
Is that a threat?
Words. Yes. Interesting words from the leader of the communist state that continuously threatens its neighbors and
its own citizens.
Economies around the world, as well as, yes, its religious minorities and controls different U.S. companies and basketball players when they say mean things about it. In a swipe at moves targeting China launched by the previous U.S. government, Mr. Xi said confrontation, quote, will always end up harming every nation's interest and sacrificing people's welfare. The Chinese leader also reaffirmed Beijing's ambitious climate pledges to slash carbon emissions by 65% by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. Both significant commitments as China emits a quarter of the world's greenhouse gases. You know, it would really, they should put their money where their mouth is. All this money that we're going to be paying out in the Paris Accords, why doesn't China take over and pay all those bills? Quote, meeting these targets will require tremendous hard work from China, but we believe that when the interests of the entire humanity are at stake, China must step forward, take action, and get the job done, he said. In virtual format, because of the pandemic, this week's event is headlined, quote, a crucial year to rebuild trust. There's the T word again. Come on, citizens, trust us again. The big names from Europe will be German Chancellor Angela Merkel, French President Emmanuel Macron, and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who heads the European Union executive. Shift to Singapore. U.S. President Joe Biden will not appear at Davos. John Kerry, oh great, this guy again, the special climate envoy, will be attending the virtual event. Following the first virtual session, Davos will move in May to Singapore, far from the luxury Swiss ski resort where it has taken place since it was launched in 1971, the brainchild of German professor Klaus Schwab. The stated reason for the change is health and safety, as the city-state has recorded just 29 COVID-19 deaths. But there is also an economic background to the move, underscored by French insurance credit group Euler Hermes, who said in a study this month that, quote, the world's economic center of gravity has been moving towards Asia since 2002. Booking growth of 2.3 last year, while other major economies slumped, China is now on the course to equal the size of the U.S. economy in 2030, 2 years earlier than the analysts predicted before the pandemic. Quote, the COVID-19 crisis would accelerate the shifting global balance towards Asia. So there you go. Quite the coincidence that because of the pandemic, not just global economic power shifting towards China, but the seat of Klaus Schwab, the Davos summit and the World Economic Forum will be moving to Singapore.
John Kerry, notoriously Skull and Bones.
Yes.
Yeah, so don't forget about that.
Famous Skull and Boner. Ooh. So I didn't. Let's move on.
Okay. But also from the notes from Audrey, she mentioned a quote from Xi. He said, quote, without global laws, the world will go back to the laws of the jungle, which is very reminiscent of George H.W. Bush. No, wait, George. Yeah. Wait, which one's the senior? Anyway. The old
HW.
Yeah, HW. Okay, I got it right. When he talked about a new world order back in 1991, where he says, well, we have the rule of law, not the law of the jungle. We have a real opportunity for a new world order. That he brought up the laws of the he brought up the law of the jungle there too. It's just a very interesting thing where they invoke the law of the jungle.
Yes.
You're distracted again, but it's okay.
Sorry. I'm repenting.
Yeah. Part of the criticism for China rising and the U.S. devolving might create some hostility in the U.S., some hate speech against Asian Americans or Chinese Americans. Well, Biden is getting ahead of that with one of his 37 executive orders in the first week. Whitehouse.gov. Memorandum condemning and combating racism, xenophobia, and intolerance against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the United States. So you better watch out, all you people out there. You make fun of me and you're going to be going against the executive order of the president. And it says here, Section 1, condemning racism, xenophobia, and intolerance against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. The federal government has a responsibility to prevent racism, xenophobia, and intolerance against everyone in America, including Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I didn't know that. I didn't know the federal government has a responsibility to prevent racism. It's like, oh, wow, okay.
Well, I mean, what are the feds good for if not controlling every part of our lives?
I know, but it's just weird. It's wild how they're like, they protect especially Asian Americans. Really? Okay.
I thought you guys were white now.
I know. It's just the pendulum keeps moving. The
Maybe that's how they're protecting you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's their goal. We'll just call them white. The Secretary of Health and Human Services shall, in coordination with the COVID-19 Health Equity Task Force, consider issuing guidance describing best practices for advancing cultural competency, language access, and sensitivity toward Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in the context of the federal government's COVID-19 response. It's just bizarre to me that all this race stuff is under the banner of a health crisis. Why is racism a health crisis anyway?
Well, they tried everything else.
Guess it's just really weird. Attorney General shall explore opportunities to support consistent with applicable law, the effort of state and local agencies, as well as the AAPI communities and community-based organizations to prevent discrimination, bullying, harassment, and hate crimes against AAPI individuals, and to expand collection of data and public reporting regarding hate incidents against such individuals. That sounds like Minority Report, and I don't like being stuck in the middle of the agenda for the Minority Report to roll out, and just use us as fodder, roll out them Asians.
Yeah, you are a battlefield, guys.
I guess. And any kind of bullying, harassment, discrimination, we need to collect all that data. Give us all that data. We need to monitor you.
Saw the data.
I just don't like this. I don't need this, Joe Biden. Okay, anyway, I'm just, I think this is part of, again, getting ahead of any kind of criticism that might come as China overtakes the U.S. in the stage of world economies. And then, the rest of the stuff from the Davos is really just all about companies that are jumping on board with this whole agenda for stakeholders capitalism. I have the Yahoo Finance here.
There's a big story about Ecolab.
Yep.
There was, 48 big tech companies that partnered with World Economic Forum. I don't know if it's worth it to go
just
through the list, but it's all the ones you might expect.
Yeah. Cisco, Cognizant, Facebook, Google, HP, Infosys, LinkedIn, Microsoft, PayPal, Salesforce, SAP, Tata Consultancy Services, and Uber Technologies. And again, what does it mention? Long-term strategy to become an anti-racist organization.
Yes, they have to commit to putting racial and ethnic justice on their board's agendas, take at least one firm action, and set a long-term strategy to become an anti-racist organization. It's just so interesting. I don't know. What is the... I mean, it's part of the Great Reset plan, but I'm not sure, and this is put forth by the World Economic Forum, and it's just, I'm not quite sure what the incentive is besides just being affiliated.
You mean with...
You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
With the World Economic Forum.
I'm pretty sure it's got to do with, again... the WEF.
And are there Chinese companies? Does China have a list of 50 companies that are committed to racial diversity? Are they going to put white people on the, or black people, or it is strictly a Western battlefield, this racial thing. And as you can attest, and many other of our Asian listeners, I mean, there's just as much racism going on in Asia than there is in the West.
Yeah, I wouldn't be welcomed in China very much.
Yeah, the racism between China and Japan is pretty heavy.
Yeah, not that, my ancestors, I had some Japanese people do some pretty horrific things to some of the other neighboring nations there. I'm not saying I'm better, but there is definitely territorial or nationalism more so than a racism that we think of in the West here with, different hues of epidermal shade.
Right. Yeah.
But there's definitely all kinds of stuff. Oh, you're from a different country, or you're from different whatever. It's pretty bad. So yeah, who knows? Yeah, the Chinese have a whole bunch of different ethnic. Well, they call them minorities here, but I think they're all. There's like the Han.
There's the Uyghurs are in concentration camps.
Right. So
are they going to put Uyghurs on the boards of big Chinese companies?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a question to ask Z. And then you'll just be Biden will come out and he'll be like, "Don't touch my hairy legs."
Well, one last thing here from Forbes.com, and Forbes has been on a tear lately. I have another Forbes thing to bring up later in the show, but they have this article here. View from Davos, European ESG progress looks good on paper, but business must fully tap technology to thrive. It can take a crisis to consolidate a consensus, something that has become increasingly evident as we emerge from the COVID-19 pandemic. Did you know we're emerging from the pandemic?
After Biden was inaugurated, I've noticed that we are.
Noticed after the 20th, it took 7 days, and we are now emerging from the pandemic that formerly we were told would go on forever. Businesses are poised to navigate a fragile recovery against the backdrop of remarkable international agreement about the epochal forces now shaping global change. Wow, epochal
we are in a new
forces.
epoch.
Yes, we have moved into a new age. For those who need a reminder, epoch basically means age. It's not like doesn't have a specific number attached to each epoch. But yes, there are epochal forces shaping global change. Oh. This is good armchair academia there. While digital transformation defined the landscape in the 2010s, creating a new generation of winners out of companies that led this process at speed and scale, today change is being defined by the sustainability transition. Crucially, however, in these uncertain times, the pursuit of sustainability to evade what is routinely portrayed as an existential risk demands that we, quote, reset our entire model of growth.
Reset this!
It is prescient, therefore, that this year the Davos Agenda will mark the launch of the World Economic Forum's Great Reset Initiative, a recognition of the multilateral consensus about the challenges we must overcome to create a more inclusive, cohesive, and sustainable future. Basically, utopia.
You know what's funny, too? It's hilarious how the most consensus there is about this is everyone going, nah, that's ridiculous. Great reset. Forget about it. It's, you know what I mean? It's like the irony of it all. They're talking about multilateral consensus create more inclusion and cohesion and sustainable future. I mean, I feel like the people
the thing about it.
Everyone going blah are the ones that are actually going to do it. These guys want to rule it.
Well, that's the thing. When their definition of Great Reset is we will create utopia. And it's like, no, you won't. What are you saying? Above all, there is a growing interest in the notion that a twin transformation incorporating both the sustainability and digital revolutions and fueled by talent will be the we need more talent, will be the principal vector of our success.
The Gemini twins.
By this view, good point. By this view, companies able to harness the most powerful dynamics of our era by finding new sources of value at the intersection of leading edge technologies and green operations will gain a competitive edge. With considerable foresight, the key themes of this year's Davos Agenda amply reflect the need for us to accelerate this twin transformation in 2021 and power it with the talent of our people in order to rebuild trust, there's that rebuild trust again, drive a robust recovery and reset our entire economy.
Okay, Forbes.
Anyways, it's quite a long article, but it's basically pointing out the it's basically an ad for if you're a talented professional, start working, just conform to the sustainability thing, because that's how you're going to get ahead. They're basically setting the watermark, or again, resetting the points to the game. Saying, no longer can you, it's not just about creating a good business or creating a good product. If it doesn't fit in the sustainable model, be gone with you. You must be reset.
Yeah, reading on a little section here. Business strategies premised upon harnessing the twin transformation of digital and sustainable change can be likened to the evolution in nature of the double helix of DNA, which is the key to adaptation and survival. This complex molecule can serve as a potent metaphor to illustrate that evolutionary success requires more than just improving either sustainability or innovation, but an understanding of how they interact, what geneticists call crosstalk. Data suggests that companies which have decoded this interaction are far more likely to be tomorrow's leaders, whose resilience during the COVID-19 crisis will catapult them rapidly into a rebound. And who writes this? This is like, they should hire this guy to write all the copy on the Davos stuff.
Well, the thing, it's a very long article and it doesn't say much.
No, it's all
it's
prose.
Just these, it's very sort of, I don't know. Yeah, prose. That's what it is. Yeah. It's just like 6,000 words of poetry to convince you that
the Great Reset is among us. Oh, so, I mean,
one last thing here before we take a quick break. Unless you had something to go through
No,
there.
just
okay.
beating a horse that won't die.
Yeah. The Great
Reset.
Just a quick thing about Twitter here.
Yeah.
NBCnews.com.
Yeah.
Twitter launches Birdwatch, a forum to combat misinformation.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
Here we go again.
Yep.
Twitter unveiled a feature Monday meant to bolster its efforts to combat misinformation and disinformation by tapping users in a fashion similar to Wikipedia to flag potential misleading tweets. Police yourselves, police each other, citizens. The new system allows users to discuss and provide context to tweets they believe are misleading or false. The project, titled Birdwatch, is a standalone section of Twitter that will, at first, only be available to small set of users, liberal activists, and there's not going to be any conservatives allowed to be in this first small set of users, largely on a first-come, first-served basis. Doubt it. Priority will not be provided to high-profile people or traditional fact-checkers, but users will have to use an account tied to a real phone number and email address. Quote, Birdwatch allows people to identify information in tweets they believe is misleading or false and write notes that provide informative context, Twitter Vice President of Product Keith Coleman wrote in a press release. We believe this approach has potential to respond quickly when misleading information spreads, adding context that people trust and find valuable. No, nobody finds this trustworthy or valuable.
Didn't they try this with Wikipedia already? Isn't that basically what they're saying this is? Oh, they actually mentioned that.
That's what Wikipedia is. Yeah, it's user generated. But I think it's funny they call it bird watching they call it Birdwatch because, like actual bird watching, it's only for people who have nothing better to do.
That's really good. Nice work.
Thank you. I don't know if there's anything else to say about this, but yeah, it's. I think this is also an interesting scheme for Twitter to take action against misinformation without taking liability.
Yeah.
So in the past, as we've seen, Twitter has attempted to sort of be the gatekeepers of truth on Twitter. Of course, with examples like putting warnings on Trump's tweets and inevitably banning Trump and things like this. But now, if they make it another element of user-generated content, as is the habit of social media, it's a good way for them to take a step, show people that they, are trying to do something about all the lies, but not actually have to do anything and not take liability or responsibility for what gets fact checked and what doesn't.
Oh, yeah, true. Although it says here at the bottom how researchers will be able to download bulk data about Birdwatch entries, which he hopes will, quote, enable experts, researchers, and the public to analyze or audit Birdwatch. So I guess you are right. Like, it's not Twitter, it's you guys. You guys are going to be the ones.
Don't complain to us about the fact check. It wasn't us. It was your fellow tweeters.
Yeah, and this, ironically, this tweet, Twitter guy pointed out Twitter's new Birdwatch program bears an eerie resemblance to George Orwell's 1984, and it has the Birdwatch logo. And it just so happens that there was a 1984 book cover of a sideways eye that looks very similar. I mean,
oh, interesting.
Not all 1984.
Actually, I think I have a copy of that 1984.
Yeah, it's a later version. I don't think this was the original cover.
No, it wasn't.
But I mean, just somebody on the PR team there, maybe do a better job. So you don't look exactly like the cover of 1984.
Yeah.
Or at least one cover of 1984.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. So,
okay.
There you go. That's
there we
first
go.
half of the show.
Well, let's take a quick break.
Are we doing it now?
Yeah.
It's break time.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break, but do not go anywhere, because after the break, we've got some 666 and 33 updates. We've also got some good mind control information that you're going to want to tune in on, as well as some AI updates, which will potentially be very impactful to our daily lives, as well as a Wackchine pandemic special section. And if you ever wondered how much Anthony Fauci makes, you're going to want to tune in for that, because Forbes has a lot to say about it. But first, we're just going to take a quick break and thank some of our producers. That's right. I did say producers, because we are on the value for value model. You've heard about big data, privacy concerns, Big Brother, digital spying, everything that has basically taken away our privacy and taken us many steps closer to actually living in 1984 again, or bringing us into this brave new world. But it's all because of advertising. For those who know the origin of all the reasons for censorship on the internet, it's all advertising, baby. That's why they want your information. That's why they track you. It's their excuse for censorship. You got to be brand safe. And not only that, but it's all fueled by corporate money from the stakeholders of the new capitalism. And so we decided that taking corporate money to run ads on this show just would go against everything we believe in. It's not the best way to make a living, but at least we can sleep at night. And yes, actually, Gans, you may have seen in the email, we got another offer for advertisers. And again, they don't listen to the show, or at least maybe they skip through the break. Maybe that's why they're like, oh, I didn't hear any ads on this. Quick, get them. But aside from that, that's what I said. We don't take corporate money. Instead, we have producers, and the producers are you. We are on the value for value model, which simply means we create some value, we put it out there, and if you get any value from what we do, you are invited to become a producer, an essential part of the ecosystem that keeps this show going, and the very real future of media as well as news media. We've been seeing major news networks start asking for donations, and that's because the advertising model is toxic and has bled dry the trust that citizens have in their mainstream media. So instead, we go on the value for value model, and we have loving, wonderful producers that keep the show going, not just for the charity of it, but it's a real shift in mindset, a rebellion against the global culture of advertising, and an investment in the future of the media that you trust and love. And so there's many personal reasons why people do that, and we're very grateful for that. So, Gans, are you ready to thank some of our producers?
Yes, I am ready.
One of the easiest ways to become a producer of the show is to head over to patreon.com/CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk, patreon.com/CCNT. And luckily for those who hate the value for value model, this will be a short segment. We have one new producer over on the Patreon, and that is producer Daniel P.
Thank you, producer Daniel.
Thank you very much, producer Daniel P. Now, Patreon is not the only way to become a producer of the show. We also have canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is one of the best ways to become a producer. There's some literature over there for you to further understand the value for value model. But if you would like to become a sustaining producer of the show, you can come in with a monthly producership there. Or if commitment is not your thing, you can go ahead and make a one-time producership in any amount. There's also cryptocurrency and all sorts of fun stuff like that, if that's what you're into. And Gans, who do we have coming in on the PayPal?
PayPal, we have a few people to thank. First off, producer Jamie.
Thank you very much, producer Jamie.
Thank you, producer Jamie. We also have a new monthly subscriber, producer Ty.
Thank you very much, Ty.
And I think producer Ty deleted his Patreon to jump on PayPal. So
yes,
seems to be a movement.
Yes. That's okay. Thank you for making the move, Ty, and thank you for your continued producership of the show.
Yes,
very valuable.
We also have Saul, producer Saul, coming in again.
Coming in. Thank you very much, producer Saul.
And he actually had a jingle request. He said, "Appreciate." And as the Days of Noah jingle, it's been a bit underused as of late, and it shreds.
It's true.
So
let's hear it.
Okay, do I have it ready? Here we go.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
That was nice.
Shredding jingle.
And a good use of the jingle request.
Yeah.
That's right. If you're a producer, you can always request a jingle if you'd like it played next to your producership. But remember, it needs to be a jingle we already have and that you hear on the show. We can't just make jingles out of nowhere for you.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to be selling waffles.
I mean, we can't, but we won't because we don't sell waffles.
Yeah. And lastly, from the PayPal, producer Lynn. Thank you, producer Lynn.
Thank you very much, producer Lynn K.
It's a late birthday producership for me. And she said, if I missed Basil's, well, next time. For all still here, LOL. Because I sure know that where we will be going, that's if we're still here, talking about, I guess, the rapture or the end of the world.
Yeah, you're really jumping around this note here.
Sorry. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to get a handle on it here. Yes. And then she quotes, and forever we will be with the Lord. How cool is that?
Very cool.
Very cool. Thank you, producer Lynn, for the birthday producership.
Yes.
Oh, I already did that for her. But there you get a second gong because we're not racist here. Right, Joe Biden?
Gons, you're losing it, man. And let's see here. No new jingles came in to the email there. But we had some art.
We do have some art. So let's do that. Oh,
art, please.
I need to organize my jingle board. It's getting out of control.
Yeah. Got to keep your jingle board organized.
So,
okay, who's first?
First, we have a couple pieces from producer Grace. And this first one here, she said, the world of COVID-19 is going to need more and more automation. David Henson said, surrounded by robot heads. Sophia is in the background and is surrounded by more Sophia robot heads and one Grace head. Yeah, I made her look like me. If the real Grace robot looked like me, I'll be really scared.
Yes, you'll have so many Grace heads walking around. Yes, thank you very much. And this was in reference to David Hansen, one of the, I think he's the CEO of Hansen Robotics, which created Sophia, the first robot with citizenship of a country. And get ready. Break out your checkbooks, everybody, because they're rolling out. They're mass producing Sophia robots. You can have one for yourself.
A little detail on the Grace Sophia robot that I thought was very poignant. The hair looks like she has curly hair. It doesn't actually go across the whole head because the top of the head is that glass dome. You know, the firmament, the brain firmament.
The firmament.
But yeah, just a good detail in the art there. Nice job. You know, she didn't just cover the head with it. It was, the hair happens on the forehead.
You got to be able to see Sophia's brain.
Apparently. Yeah. What is that going to be? Is that going to be some kind of virtue signaling? Like, I am a machine. Here's my proof.
Yeah.
Look at my brain.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, look, I'm not pretending to be a human. I am a robot. Love me.
And the second piece of art by producer Grace is Journey into the Technocratic Cyber Future. And she said she based it on the Journey to the Center of the Earth movie-ish.
Ah, yes.
It's kind of a logo, or not a logo, but a stinger.
Like a movie poster.
Yeah, movie poster. So very cool. Thank you, Producer Grace. Keep it up. We love the artwork that we receive from you. And
thank you very much, Producer Grace.
Also, we have one from Producer Ali, obviously our second youngest producer that we know of. And this is a squirrel holding a knife. And this is in response to your mention that there is no biblical passage that references squirrels and knives
I said
at the end times.
I think we need to look for it. We don't know. It seems like something that would be hidden in the book of Revelation. The giant fat squirrel that was wielding a knife at the beginning of last show. And this is a great rendering of the squirrel with a knife. Lost a few pounds, which is very flattering to this squirrel, and a good looking knife. And seems that Ali has found it. And it says, "And in those days there shall be a knife-wielding squirrel upon the face of the earth." First book of Squirrels, chapter 3, verse 33. So thank you very much, and good Bible Academia, Producer Ali.
Yes, thank you for that. And there was one more that came in. I actually forgot to put it in the notes there, Basil. But it is from, I believe you pronounce it Freya. Freya. I hope I'm saying that right. Freya.
Yes.
And the note says, greetings, Basil and Gons. My daughter Freya, 13, and I love the show. Try to catch every episode and are telling everyone we can. Oh, they're rattling cages. We both wanted to say thank you for all you do and to send you some art that Freya. What is it? Freya. I'm having problems with that one. Freya has created for you. And so here we go. We got a couple pieces from 13-year-old Freya.
Thank you very much.
First one is, and I love these.
Freya.
The first
I believe
one
that
is,
was the Queen of Asgard.
Oh, is that what?
In Norse mythology.
Okay. That's why you're familiar with it. I'm struggling to pronounce it. But this first one is me. It's Gons wearing the headphones, and it's kind of like a cartoon.
Oh, these are cute.
Yeah, they're like a cute cartoon
it's like a
version.
chibi.
Yeah, chibi, chibi version.
Little chibi version of Gons there. Very good.
Yeah.
Got your headphones, got your glasses.
Yep.
So cute. So cute.
And the other one is, of course, of Basil. You really look like an anime character on this one. With big googly eyes.
This is good. I got a nice yellow jacket and big tie. Ooh, I look very fancy in this one.
Yeah, and you got a fluffy looking bird in your hand. I don't know what I guess you're on a microphone. Is that a microphone?
Yes,
you're sitting
I'm on a podcasting microphone.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, look at that hair. I'm so adorable.
So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Freya.
It's awesome. We expect to see more art from you.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I could imagine so many possibilities. Thank you, Producer Freya. And for those out there who are asking, because there was a couple of you, where if you are an artist, you too can have your art featured on the show. Just create something that is in reference to the show, whether it's Gons or I or something we talk about. And you can send that to canarycryradio@protonmail.com or canarycryradio@gmail.com, whichever you prefer, however anonymous you're trying to be. And yes, thank you very much. Also, if you're a jingle creator, or if you have written a piece of music, written and recorded a piece of music that you'd like played at the end of the show, again, you got to make it show related, and also don't send us stuff that's already been like recorded and released, because we'll get copyright strikes and we don't like that. You can send that all to canarycryradio@protonmail.com or canarycryradio@gmail.com. Thank you very much. And also thank you to Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps. Man, they just keep following through. Thank you so much, producer Jade Bouncerson.
Yeah.
There was a fun thing. I didn't grab a screenshot, but I was over on canarycry.community. That is the Canary Cry social network, not ruled by the Silicon Valley lizard overlords. If you'd like to join up and meet other Canarians, you can talk about the show, you can talk about theories, you can talk about world events, or also get in a game of, I don't know what the game is called, but there was murder mystery threads going on, and the murder mystery wrapped up about who killed Basil, and it was an old lady, an old rich lady. Because yes, apparently I tried to seduce her granddaughter for money and fame, and the old rich lady just couldn't handle it. So, but it's all sorts of fun stuff happens over at canarycry.community. Go there, get connected. It's a wonderful place to be. And there was the Canary Cry Singles Zoom meetup last Saturday. And I checked in on the thread of the Canary Cry Singles on canarycry.community, and somebody was, I looked at a screenshot, and somebody was I don't know if they were attempting to trick people, but somebody had worn giant googly eyes and had a hilarious fake beard on. So I don't know. I thought it was fun. Those Canary Cry Singles, they're wild folks.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that I spent, I don't know, under an hour. It was not a lot of time, but I did try to redo canarycrynewstalk.com as far as the template goes. So now you can go to canarycrynewstalk.com, and on the homepage, you'll be able to scroll through multiple episodes. Which is nice.
Yeah, you did a great job. Just not a totally new site, but a nice little refresher.
Yeah, a little refresher, a little update on the theme. So
and searchable.
And searchable. That's the big thing here, and I've been trying to figure out a better way to do that. But there's a little search icon at the top, and you can type in various things, like, for example, Francis Collins, the good man who was part of the discovered DNA, or not discovered DNA, but decoded the DNA and all that stuff. We talked about him on episode 217, Secret Science of the Vatican, and episode 235, Mortal Head Wound Was Healed. So this is a way to look for topics and pull up old episodes where we have discussed it. Just a resource for you all. And another, somebody had emailed us asking about the story of the Xenobots, which we covered last year at the January of 2020. And I think it was Baya who sent us the message. And so I was looking up Xenobots and I couldn't find it. But I realized that we renamed the Xenobot Frogbot. And so, yeah. So,
you found it?
Yeah, I did find it. It's Frogbots. Hold on, I'm pulling it up here. It's not coming up. Come on, search. It should pop up here. Give me a moment. You're failing me, search. There it is.
Proof of concept demonstration. It's like an Elon Musk event.
I know. Look, the website is totally fine. Totally happy. Episode 172, Frogbot Immortal and My First Mind Control. So it's just a way to get in there and really look for keywords and topics that you're interested in, that if you're wondering if we've covered it, use the search option and you'll be able to pull up episodes where we have talked about it. And that's where under each episode, you'll see the artwork and stuff like that. So just a little quick redesign. And, I have bigger plans for what I would like to do with being a resource, not just a podcast where we ramble on about different things, but really be a resource for people that are doing research. And also if you're, in a conversation with someone and you want to pull up a news story or a topic or a take that we've covered in the past, you can come to the website, type it in, boom, it's there. Oh, we covered it on this episode. You can take a listen to it and whatnot. So
always recommend it. And not a bad idea if you're trying to send us a story that looks like it's from a while ago or something. Good thing to do. Search it on the website and you'll see if we've covered it before.
Yeah, very good.
Breaking news, Gons. Freya, actually, producer Freya popped into the chat.
Oh.
She says, hello, this is Freya here. Just thought I'd pop in to say hello. I will definitely produce more art for this channel.
Fantastic.
Oh, we're happy to have you, producer Freya, and well done today.
Are they from Britain? Is that why there's the British flag?
They are living in the UK, I believe.
Okay. All right.
But I have no idea. They just put a little British flag in their note, so.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much to all of our producers for episode 292. That is producer Daniel, producer Jamie, producer Ty, producer Lynn, producer Saul, and of course, thank you to all of our artists. And if you're in the chat, make sure to thank a producer today. It's because of them that you're able to have a show today. So thank you very much. And we'll see you all for next show, 292. And that'll be on Friday. But more about that later. Gons
293.
Yeah. Yes, 3. Shall we wake up?
We shall wake up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
And we shall talk about the number
666.
This is from JamaicaObserver.com. Also had a couple people send me a different outlet. The story headline, changes to tongue, hands, or feet may flag virus. Study.
What?
Changes to the tongue, the hands, or the soles of the feet could give an early indication of COVID-19 infection, Spanish researchers found in a study presented Tuesday.
What kind of changes?
The conclusions emerged from research carried out among 666 patients with COVID-19 at Madrid's FEMA field hospital setup during the first wave of the pandemic, the regional government said. 1 in 4 patients said they had noticed changes to their tongue, while 4 out of 10 spotted unusual signs on the palms of their hands or soles of their feet.
Oh my gosh, this is going to stress me out now.
Yeah, and so for all the people that are saying the vaccine is the mark of the beast, you're wrong. The COVID-19 is the mark of the beast.
Oh.
Because all the sores are going to break out, Revelation 9, I think.
Yeah, this is from the Jamaica Observer.
Yeah, but it was carried on different outlets that are a little bit more mainstream. I had people send me...
We're still, I bring that up because we're still in the top 10 of news commentary in Jamaica.
And that's why I left the Jamaica Observer version of the story.
Thank you very much, Jamaica.
Yeah, so there you go. 666 patients studied in Madrid.
Just a little update for the producers as well. Since I have it open, forgot to do it during the break. We are so close to breaking top 100 in the United States of America. Ooh. We're at number 106 in news commentary. So thank you, producers, and so close.
Yeah, that'll be a good day. Although our goal still stands.
You're going down, Olstein.
Got a long way to go for that one to come true.
We occasionally break top 100 in the United States, but we're close. Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Okay, so more numbers here.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
This first one is from myradiolink.com. Nearly 33-100 new COVID-19 cases reported in Illinois.
No.
This is a very strange way to say 33,000.
Yeah, that is interesting. They don't know 3,300. 3,300. Yeah.
30. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. So even in the article, it says nearly 33-100 new COVID-19 cases are being reported in Illinois.
That is very strange.
Yeah, I don't know if this is, I don't know, maybe someone that doesn't know how to write 3,300.
I bet it's for some SEO or something.
Or maybe they're just trying to get on the Canary Cry News Talk. I know how to get some more publicity on this story.
They've done it. There you go. myradiolink.com.
You succeed.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
And yesterday was the 1 year anniversary. No, I wouldn't say anniversary. 1 year since the passing of Kobe Bryant and his daughter and 7 others. And this is Philadelphia, CBSlocal.com. Lower Merion basketball team to hold 33-second moment of silence to remember Kobe Bryant. And
why 33 seconds?
See, if you know the history of the man, you would know. So yes, Kobe wore jersey number 24 and jersey number 8, but when he was at Lower Merion High School, he wore the number 33. That's why they did the 33 seconds of silence for Kobe. Yeah, and Kobe, Kobe did have there is a photo of Kobe holding up the Illuminati sign there, the triangle with his hands, as they all seem to do. And him and Shaquille O'Neal both, at least Shaq was open about his Freemasonry and said he was a Mason. And there's some footage of him and I think there's some footage. Oh, I don't think Kobe was in that footage, but them talking about, I don't think we're supposed to talk about that, like on TV.
Yeah.
But, I can't believe it. A year has gone by. It was really interesting because last year in 2020, it was Kobe's death that really started the crazy year. It was kind of like,
it was sort of the first big event.
Yeah. And living in Southern California, that was kind of a huge deal. People were very upset, and there's a lot of conspiracy surrounding what had happened, and maybe he was taken out. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, the part that really upsets me is the kid, 13 years old. Just not cool to take out a child, whatever reason, even if it wasn't nefarious, even if it was truly an accident. It's very sad, and a whole family was wiped out too. So.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what you get if you're rich enough to ride helicopters to basketball tournaments. You're taking a risk.
It is a risky endeavor.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some mind control.
Mind control update jingle must find.
Mind control intensifies.
This is coming from, dailymail.co.uk. Opening or headline paragraph reads, declassified CIA file reveals U.S. spies believed that Soviet doctors had perfected extrasensory perception in the 80s and could transmit thoughts and feelings to subjects. Whew, okay. CIA officials believe that Soviet scientists took part in several successful extrasensory perception experiments in the 1980s, according to a recently declassified document from the time. The U.S. spies wrote in an April 1991 memo that they thought the Russians had made remarkable progress in understanding ESP, reception of information not gained through the recognized physical senses, but sensed with the mind. They reported back that one Soviet scientist, Konstantin Butiekko, quote, had perfected his method in the early 1980s. A second Soviet scientist, Vladimir Kaznacheyov, was described as a well-known authority on ESP. And we have a little tweet here from the Black Vault, which has received a lot of these declassified documents. 6 years ago, I discovered the CIA had multiple documents on extrasensory perception, or ESP, but they were classified. Recently, I finally pried one loose with a mandatory declassification review request, but the other remains classified. The documents were obtained by John Greenwald, a researcher who runs the website The Black Vault and specializes in Freedom of Information Act requests. On Monday, he published his latest findings, a CIA report, which was declassified in November. The 4-page report is a memo sent from the U.S. officials looking both at Soviet research into the chemicals found in Agent Orange and at, quote, psychic medical treatment at USSR Clinical and Experimental Medicine Institute. In Institute, IKEM, in its Russian acronym, was based in the Siberian city of Novosibirsk, the third largest city in Russia. Buteyko, who died in 2003, age 80, was the head of the laboratory of non-traditional treatment at IKEM. He is known for his research into deep breathing and asthma, according to the declassified document. He was also researching ESP. And then they put a lot of screenshots of the document here, or photocopied things. Excuse me. Buteyko's method, the CIA wrote, was one by which a medical specialist attempted psychically to transmit bioenergy to patients to enable them to control or cure asthma, sinusitis, allergies, chronic bronchitis, pulmonary inflammation, and heart disease. The U.S. spies noted that Buteyko, quote, had perfected his method in the early 1980s. Volunteers would sit in the middle of a room positioned between two concave mirrors, while the scientists tried from afar to transmit psychic energy to the patient. They believed the mirrors focused psychic energy. The Americans wrote that in the mid-1980s, 2 labs, IKEM, and a second one in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, took part in several successful ESP experiments. Kazhnachev, who the CIA described as being affiliated with IKEM, and who is known for his work as a biologist, told the memo authors of work in which scientists attempted psychically to relay to one another images of geometric shapes, such as squares or circles. The memo concluded that Kazhnachev did not say whether the Soviet military were interested in the research. The declassified documents give further context to the study of the USSR's ESP experiments. The Soviet fascination with ESP has been known about for decades. In the late 1960s, Nikolai Kokolov, a former KGB agent who defected to the West in 1954, spoke extensively about Russia's experiments. In September 1966, he told a conference, according to Atlas Obscura, how in Soviet Russia, considerable interest has been aroused in research parapsychology. Kokolov said Russian psychology made the people specifically sensitive to matters relative to the mystical side of the human psyche and to a world beyond the sober reality of sense. He then lectured the group about Russian scientists who had undertaken studies of ESP dating back to the late 1800s, telling them that Soviet government actively encouraged such study. There you go. They were I mean, I learned about this in Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, okay.
That was a big storyline in Stranger Things. But yeah, there you go. The Soviets declassified psychic research.
Watch out. Putin's going to read your mind.
Yeah. I don't know, it's just fun. And the stream of declassifications that have been going on, a lot of focus, obviously, on the UFO documents. But you got to remember, there's all sorts of weird declassifications going on.
Yeah. And again, none of this is surprising. It's just more, I guess, confirmation for those who are skeptical of things that people have been saying have been researched for a long time and put in movies and stuff like that.
The things that used to just be the talk of conspiracy theorists. Another example of how the reality skeptics have been ahead of the game the whole time.
I wonder how much the U.S. has advanced this type of technology.
Well, there was the men who stare at goats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean now, like what are they doing now?
Oh, they probably gave up and said, let's just do more robots, more implants.
Yeah, that is interesting. Maybe the whole robot revolution was part and part sparked by the fact that they couldn't penetrate certain barriers of the human capability.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, of course, Elon Musk's Neuralink, there was, I think it was Elon himself who compared it to technological telekinesis and things.
Right.
With just reading your mind, his Neuralink would be able to affect the world around you.
And our conversation with David Jamona a few episodes ago on Canary Cry Radio, he retired. I can't remember exactly what his rank was, but he was in the military, and he told us that he had spoken to someone that was freaked out about certain dreams he had, and that there were some dream technologies, I guess.
Yeah.
He didn't elaborate too much on it, but he sort of hinted that they have that type of technology, which is, again, not surprising. They've implanted memories in rats and stuff. So
and slugs,
yeah. So
those poor slugs.
I know. But yeah, interesting. We'll keep an eye on more of this type of declassification as it comes out.
Yeah.
And I want to do a couple quick updates on AI.
Artificial intelligence.
This first one here, South Korea, this is CNN World. South Korea has used AI to bring a dead superstar's voice back to the stage. But ethical concerns abound. For the first time in 25 years, the distinctive vocals of South Korean superstar Kim Kwang-seok will be heard on national television singing new material. It's a feat made all the more extraordinary because the famous folk singer is dead. National broadcaster SBS plans to use artificial intelligence to bring Kim's voice back to life on a new program, Competition of the Century, AI versus Human, to air later this week. It's not the first time AI has been used to revive famous singer. In South Korea, in December, music channel Mnet aired One More Time, a show that used AI and holograms of late artists to pay tribute to their work. And on New Year's Eve, K-pop superstar BTS performed online with an AI version of singer Shin Hae-chul, who died after surgery in 2014. Recent AI performances have excited fans of their music and the technology, but others have raised concerns about the ethics and legalities of resurrecting the voices of the dead. The creation of new works or revived voices by AI also raises copyright issues. Who is considered the owner? The creator of the AI program or the AI system itself? Legendary Korean singer Kim was aged just 31 when he died in 1996 at the peak of his career after a string of hits, including A Letter from a Private, Song of My Life, and In the Wilderness. Have you heard of any of those tracks, Basil?
Nope.
Folk,
I'm not up on my South Korean folk music.
Folk giants. His death was considered to be so shocking that some have never accepted the official cause of suicide, instead choosing to believe conspiracy theories that he was murdered. So, we talk about certain people out here who allegedly committed suicide. Recently the singer of Linkin Park, Chester Bennington, or the singer of Soundgarden, whose name I am completely blanking on, which is a shame because I used to. Chris Cornell, both allegedly committed suicide, and a lot of people were like, yeah, it's really weird because there were rumors that they're working on some kind of exposing pedos type of documentary. But in any case, it's not exclusive to us. And it's interesting because I would say that maybe there's something, anytime a big star dies, there's some conspiracy that is going to surround it. But also, 30 years later or 25 years later, using AI to resurrect this guy, I don't know. If I was family or something, I would not be stoked about it. Later in the article, it says, so when national broadcaster SBS announced that it was using AI to recreate Kim's voice on a new program set to air this month, it sent fans into a frenzy. A 1-minute promotional clip of Kim singing I Miss You, a ballad released by King Bum-soo in 2002, has been viewed more than 145,000 times on YouTube since December, which is, it's not a ton. And a video showing the process behind the episode has been viewed more than 750,000 times since it was posted on January 6th. This article is super duper long, so I'm not going to read it all, but basically the producer said he was inspired by a match of Go, where an AI and humans battled it out, and goes into some of the technicalities of how they resurrected the voice. And there's a whole section on the dangers of AI, and it gets into the deep fake stuff, the conversations that we've had there, and the scammers and how much money's involved. And this is the part that was interesting. In December, South Korea's Ministry of Science and Information Communication Technology released the National AI Ethical Guideline, a document that lays out basic standards for people involved in the development of an application of AI. It says AI should be, quote, developed and used in accord with its purpose and intention as a tool for human life, and that process should also be ethical, which is super vague because it's like, what do you mean? Ethical for who? The same month, the ministry released what it calls a roadmap for AI legislation, which proposes to expand South Korea's intellectual property rights beyond works created by humans to the investors and inventors behind AI creation. There you go. Now it's, just content rights, which is another big topic that I don't think many people are thinking about with artificial intelligence and just robotics and all that. Who owns it? Who owns the content that is created? And it looks like they want to extend it past just humans, which, this is just leading all the AI and robots to personhood. And that's pretty much it for the story. There's a few. Again, it's a really long story.
We've seen stories similar to this, and I have not heard of any solutions or any finality in any of them. This is part of the future that, again, we've been talking about for almost a decade now. And again, just weird to see it all coming to life. I think with the personhood, a next step type of thing with the personhood of Sophia and other artificial intelligences, I don't know, but it might just be very much that, a personhood not owned by a company or an inventor, but owned by the AI. Who knows?
Yeah. And Sarah Khanna in the chat mentioning the Microsoft patent, the AI chatbot, to resurrect the dead people. I think we covered that too, a while ago.
That a couple episodes ago.
Well, I think we covered it. I think we did mention how they made it official, but we had reported on it like a year or two ago when they were talking about doing it.
Yeah, but it was the update that it had been done.
Right. And it says in the article that SBS paid a one-off fee to his family for featuring his voice in the show, as they did with other cast members. Parts of the show will be published on YouTube after it airs, but neither SBS nor Supertone plan to release Kim's songs as a single. So, yeah, very interesting. They just went ahead and did it and pay off the family. Like, hey, we're
that's one of the things. There's not a whole lot of law around it. So, as these corporations tend to do, and especially in the entertainment industry, they just do what they want and apologize later.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me. Well, on the topic of AI here, just a short little update from the wallstreetjournal.com. Headline reading: Artificial intelligence will define Google's future. For now, it's a management challenge. Excuse me, I gotta drink some water here. I got something in there. Blindly reaching around for my water jar. There it is. I knocked something over. Hold on. Play the elevator music.
The AI jingle.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence will define Google's future. Oh, that's much better. Alphabet Inc. Chief Executive Sundar Pichai has bet big on artificial intelligence as central to the company's future, investing billions of dollars to embed the technology in the conglomerate's disparate divisions. Now it is one of his trickiest management challenges. Over the past 18 months, Google's parent has waded through one controversy after another involving its top researchers and executives in the field. In the most high-profile incident, last month, Google parted ways with a prominent AI researcher, Timit Gebru, after she turned in studies critical of the company's approach to AI and complained to colleagues about its diversity efforts. Her research findings concluded that Google wasn't careful enough in deploying such powerful technology and was callous about the environmental impact of building supercomputers. Wow, they had an activist in the ranks here. Mr. Pichai pledged investigation into the circumstances around her departure and said he would seek to restore trust. Seek to restore more restoring trust.
Oh yeah,
from Google here. That's the thing, man. Everybody's trying to restore trust. Ms. Guibrew's boss, Jeff Dean, told employees that he determined her research was insufficiently rigorous. Ooh. So the article goes on there, but I'll have to pay for it, so I'm not gonna. But the point being that Google has been a leader in artificial intelligence for a while, but the signaling from a company as large and as ingrained in all internet infrastructure as Google, making artificial intelligence its core growth strategy, it's just another step that we've been seeing signaled for a while now that, this artificial intelligence will rule the world. I mean, it already does in so many ways. But to have Google, which, sometimes it's lost on us. We call Google a corporation. We call it, it's a essential, quote unquote, essential infrastructure to the internet. And, you can say Google this, Google that. But really, I mean, if you're talking about the most powerful entities in human history, Google is at least in the top 5, definitely, I would say even top 3. And to have that kind of power and wealth and influence directing all of its energy towards artificial intelligence, making that a core principle of their future. It just says a lot about what we're going to be, what's going to be ruling our lives. Algorithms, we take that for granted, but there was a moment where algorithms were such a new and interesting force on the internet, and how it's going to make the world better. And indeed, algorithms have crumbled the foundations of society around us. So let's hope that this artificial intelligence push works out a little better. I'm sure they all have it under control. Having lead researchers leave for ethical reasons, that doesn't signal any horrible demise for the human race, does it?
Well, I think part of the discussion that Davos is considering, and a whole bunch of world leaders, is how, and I find it interesting how you keep bringing up this loss of trust. It's broken. The common person doesn't trust institutions or governments really at all. And if Trump was the last bastion of people that tried to trust authorities and governments and politicians, well, that just all went to hell in a handbasket. So it's over.
Yep.
But AI coming in can, they are the only thing, and included with AI,
blockchain.
Blockchain, often being talked about as trustless.
Yes, it's not about trust.
It's not about trusting each other. It's about algorithms, the mathematics. Do you trust math? Math doesn't lie. It's numbers. And so I think that's the world we're moving into, where, yes, there's certain transparencies and it's better in certain ways, and because human corruption is going to be weeded out or exposed much quicker. But then you become completely beholden to whatever information is locked up on the blockchain.
That's right. Because our AI overlords will be kind to us, of course.
Because you can't change that information. It's immutable data. So it's just a very fascinating thing, and how the potential for good, I think people forget to talk about the potential for good that rises out of this, because of the fact that the potential for evil rises at the same exponential rate, which, it's that two-edged sword where it's like, yeah, it's going to destroy central banks and institutions. It's all going to crumble, but also the AI is taking over and we are going to completely lose control and the beast system will rise.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
A pandemic special.
A couple things to point out here. I've pointed out this photo from 2014, Basil, you and I doing a live Canary Cry radio episode. And, didn't
we do this story 2 episodes ago?
It doesn't matter. We're repurposing it again.
Okay.
That, yes, there's a arrow pointing at the back end.
Yes.
And that was 2014.
Yes.
Now, January 2021, headline, Newsweek. Earmuffs for younger people. COVID anal swabs for Beijing residents. More accurate, says Chinese expert.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't even need to read that. I think we get the point there.
That's an obsession.
It is. I don't know what the deal is, but it's crazy. But also you had a story about Daddy Fauci.
Let's leave on a high note here. Little update about Daddy Fauci before we land the plane. This is from Forbes.com. The headline reads, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the highest paid employee in the entire U.S. federal government.
Science is truth.
That's right. Dr. Anthony Fauci made $417,608 in 2019. So specific. I wonder how hard he had to fight for that last $8. The latest year for which federal salaries are available. That made him not only the highest paid doctor in the federal government, but the highest paid out of all 4 million federal employees. In fact, Dr. Fauci even made more than the $400,000 salary of the President of the United States. All salary data was collected by openthebooks.com via Freedom of Information Act requests. Only federal employees whose salaries were funded by taxpayers were included in the study. Therefore, Tennessee Valley Authority CEO Jeffrey Liash, whose salary is paid by revenues of the corporation owned by the federal government, was not included. $2.5 million. That's how much Dr. Fauci, director of the National Institute for Health, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and current chief medical advisor to the president, will make in salary from 2019 through 2024 if he stays in his post through the end of the current administration and doesn't, or didn't already, get a raise. In a 10-year period between 2010 and 2019, Fauci made $3.6 million in salary. Since 2014, Fauci's pay increased from $335,000 to the current $417,608. In an August 13th, 2020 Instagram interview with actor Matthew McConaughey, Dr. Fauci... There it is. Dr. Fauci was asked if he had millions of dollars invested in the vaccine. Dr. Fauci laughed and answered, Matthew, no, I got zero.
Matthew,
I'm a government...
Matthew,
no, I got zero. I'm a government worker. I have a government salary. Yeah, poor Fauci with a government salary. He didn't mention that his $417,608 salary was the largest in the entire federal government.
And this doesn't tell how much wealth he owns in stocks and stuff like that, right?
It's not even about that. Yeah,
I get that.
He certainly has a lot more money than $417,000, but the dude makes more than the president. He has the highest federal salary of any government worker. And in this little interview, he's like, oh no, I got zero. I'm a government worker. I have a government salary. Oh, please. Dr. Fauci became the early face of the White House coronavirus task force, et cetera, et cetera. Who cares? There you go. That's what it is. Dr. Fauci, he gets the big bucks. He gets the literal big bucks for
Dr. Birx, Deborah Birx earned $305,972 in 2019.
Yeah.
Oy.
Well, it's because she's a woman. She gets 70 cents for every dollar that Fauci gets.
Yeah. Nancy Pelosi will earn $223,500 this year. And Chief Justice Roberts, $270,000. Is this like I know there's like the government side of things, but with like somebody like Fauci, is
Mm-hmm.
there they said a contract, right? Well, maybe they didn't use the word contract, but they said till 2024, a salary from 2019
It's
to
an
2024.
appointed position.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't suspect the Biden administration will fire Fauci.
Yeah, but what if they want to save money?
They don't want to save money. They're Democrats.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
This is good. 4-star military generals outrank, but still fall below Dr. Fauci at $268,000 a year. They make like half of what Fauci makes. 4-star generals.
You know, I would expect Fauci to be in better shape, given the salary. He's got enough money to
Financial
work out.
shape or physical
Physical
shape?
shape. You saw him throw that baseball. Do you remember that? Come on, Fauci, do some push-ups. You got time.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Did we do it?
You said it was ending on a high note.
It is a high note.
How is it a high note?
So our good buddy Anthony Fauci only makes $417,608
only
a year.
Only
for his TV appearances and his good advice on how to stop the coronavirus.
That makes me
All right,
depressed.
folks.
You've depressed
Thanks
me.
so much
Everybody
for
loves
tuning
waffles.
into this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. We'll be back on Friday, the 29th.
We're coming up on the end of
yes.
January.
I know. We're already 1/12 of the way through the year. Friday, the 29th of January, 2021. We'll be back with another episode for you. Thank you again to all of our producers of this episode 292. And remember, we'll need some producers for the next episode. That's 293 on Friday. So make sure to head over to patreon.com/canaryccnt, or even better, canarycryradio.com/support.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is your way to fight against the stranglehold of corporate money over your media. Even independent media like ours are tempted by the wiles of advertising dollars, but not here. You can take responsibility for the future of your media consumption by becoming a producer of the show. We'll give you a shout out, and there's all sorts of great perks. You get discounts at Denny's. You don't get discounts at Denny's, but
don't start making promises that aren't true.
But you can you'll get the everlasting thanks of myself and Gons and the rest of the listeners, because we couldn't exist without you. Also, thank you to all of our artists. That's right. If you are an artist as well and you want to get some art on the show, go ahead and send that show-related art to canarycryradio@protonmail.com or canarycryradio@gmail.com. That's a great way to do it. And thank you again to Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps. Okay. Now, here's the thing, folks. You don't just need to support the show financially. There's lots of other ways to support the show, like I mentioned, with art or music or jingles. Make sure to stick around for the Canary Cry mixtape at the end of the show. But you can leave ratings and reviews. Very helpful to get those algorithms moving in our favor. And if you haven't done it yet, here's a reminder to like and subscribe and bell button and all.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
And if you haven't done it yet, make sure to subscribe to the podcast feed on your favorite podcast player, Canary Cry News Talk. And you can subscribe to Canary Cry Radio while you're at it. That is the last ditch emergency for those who like to watch on YouTube and things like that. If that suddenly disappears, you'll want to be subscribed to the podcast feed so you never miss a show. And make sure to share the show out with your friends. Put it on your social media, share it with your friends and family. family who are starting to wake up to the world is not what it seems. And this will give them a safe space to explore the alternative facts that are going on, not on the mainstream media. And, I also want to put out we have lots of viewers and listeners, and I'm very grateful for every one of you. But there are some people who really get it. You really get what we're trying to do here, Gons. And for those who really get it, I want you to share with your people, because I'm sure you got people around you who also really get it. So send them an episode, let them know what the deal is, and we appreciate that very much. Okay, and if you need any other instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. All right, Gons, any last words?
Praise God. Thank you for being here. And hope to see you guys on the next episode.
Okay, folks, remember, we'll be back on Friday, January 29th, 2021. So, thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time, but until then, think outside the cage.
Call that.
Shameful generation!
Reset this!
Aliens.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
We will launch a new age.
You can't handle the truth.
Stop this progress before it is too late!
He's a Satanist.
I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you, but nobody wanted to listen.
Everybody loves waffles.
Call that.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Make way for battle with gods as they expose Babylon. There's a line drawn in the sand.
That's where I started.
Light up a huge blunt.
A joint.
Give everybody
magic mushrooms.
Smoke. The CIA, I mean, lots of intelligence agencies have tested secretly dosing communities. LSD.
Psychoactive pills should be covertly administered. Just put me on some, I don't know.
Give you a shot in the butt. Fluoride. Oxytocin. Get a chemical hug.
I did dabble, some of that robot crack. I know what it's like.
It's a lethal recipe for disaster. You need help.
If you're a pharmacist, you need to repent.
All right, weird.
Poly. It's Latin for many. Tick. 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 Now suck your blood. Politic. 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 Many bloodsuckers. Politician. Politicians for politics. Don't let them drain you all away. Poly. It's Latin for many. Tick. 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 Now suck your blood. Politic. Many bloodsuckers. Politicians for politics. Don't let them drain you all away. Don't let them drain you all away. Don't let them drain you all away. Left wing, right wing, 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 left wing, right wing. Two wings, same bird. Two wings, same bird. Two wings, same bird. Two wings, same bird. Same bird. Poly. It's Latin for many. Tick. 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 Now suck your blood. Politic. Many bloodsuckers. Politicians for politics. Don't let them drain you all away. 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 Don't let them
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
It's a bidet. Don't get me started.
Something I ain't got all day. Get on my YouTube, debates like the sun. See what's new, demonetization. Know what's this? To my surprise, I spot a big pair of googly eyes. Click on the video and turn up the sound. What is this gem that I have found?
Humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
This is the way.
You're fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. You, yeah, you. In my people's zoo.
You can't handle the truth. Better, bigger, tastier.
Shoo, hallelujah.